Hello, my name is Bill. I live in and I really like games. As you can probably tell. I wasn't actually there for the first class because I've been in enrollment hell. No, so I missed the first class, so I didn't actually get to go to that. But I had a quick look at the reading, and I actually found I thought the whole kind of concept of deep attention throughout the whole article. I thought that was probably the most interesting thing because I never kind of thought about just having deep attention when trying to focus on something and whatnot. I always just kind of thought I was like, wasn't really interested, or if I just was tired, or if I was just getting distracted or whatnot. And that whole kind of thought process of just sitting back and actually thinking what actually is deep attention, I thought was actually fairly interesting. What's something I want to be able to do slash know I've achieved by the end of the media degree? What I've always wanted to do, and a big reason why I'm picking this degree, is because if I have like an idea in my head, whether it be for an assignment or just for like a hobby or just something fun that I'm gonna make, like I'll have this idea in my head and I'll want to be able to replicate that and produce that the best of my ability to show people what I wanted to show, like what I want them to see essentially. Say something about how you think you learn best. I think I learn best with actually experimenting and doing things. Like I'll be given a task, if it's something that I get to physically do instead of just go do revision or go search up this article or go like read 3 chapters of some book or some shit. Tell us about a piece of media you engaged with this week. News story, film. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. They had the sentence of George Pell. I'm pretty sure people would have heard all about it, about like the Catholic archbishop or whatever he is. The kind of like outpour from the media and the reception that everyone gave, whether it was like good or bad or whatnot. I thought that was fairly interesting to see like the different sides of that, because I don't keep up with the news. I thought that was actually fairly interesting, seeing the reception. I think that's it. That's number 5. Oh then. Alright, this is my second time recording this because first time OBS was muted. Great. How did I find Premiere? It was pretty straightforward. I've used it in the past. Anything too challenging. I was using quite a few new different like effects and whatnot, but they're pretty easy to find. And I think it's always pretty easy to find, like, say for example, tutorials and like exactly what you're looking for. I got my Haiku when I was at uni, but I didn't have my computer, so I wanted to record and do everything at home. And so once I got the Haiku, I kind of knew what I wanted to do with it, where I wanted to film it, which was pretty straightforward. And I'm actually very surprised at how it came out, how good the quality of the picture is, considering that I only just filmed on my phone. Oh yeah, we're meant to eat something, aren't we? So with the hats, I think it was a pretty good idea, since there's such like a good guideline on giving back constructive criticism. The group that I was in, we did a pretty good job of just like giving everything, our whole initial thoughts, our what we liked, what we didn't like, and what we think should change. So I think we did like a fairly decent job of like giving feedback. So I don't think we necessarily needed the hats, but I think it's a good kind of like reminder and a good guide, so you don't like you don't stray too far. Right, so from the reading, I thought it was pretty interesting that they mentioned it's about learning with media, not learning about, which I think is very, very true. I didn't actually really think about this at all, but the past 5-10 years, the media was so different, and the way that you would have produced media and approached it would have been so different back then as well. So that just proves the whole point. It's about learning with media than it is learning about. When you're learning about something, you're kind of looking at it with the perspective of it being in the past. All right, week 3. Fair enough. What do I want to improve on the vlogs? I want to be able to speak clearer, have just like better lighting, have more eye contact with the camera and whatnot, and just like genuinely just improve it to make it more enjoyable to watch. Things media students should know about copyright. As soon as you make a work, it automatically gets protection from copyright. Copyright lasts for the duration of the author's lifetime, plus 70 years on top of that. Copyright doesn't protect any ideas or information about something. It only protects the original form of expression of those ideas and information. From lecture, in case of being able to use someone else's work, as long as it classifies under fair use, so as long as it's transformative, to give another viewpoint or adds something to the work, and it isn't like a direct copy, or like it isn't a direct re-upload someone's video. The whole kind of case of being able to, make a review, critique, as long as it's like you can use it in some sort of transformative way to make it, to put your own agenda on it, I guess. Okay, so from the reading, I think it was page 68 where I found it was pretty interesting that you can kind of lead a story and put your own twist on it, essentially, where you can have, for example, someone killing someone in like the scene or whatnot, and you can have the act and like the build up of it all eventually happening, and then you can cut to like a wide shot, and then you can just hear a gunshot, and then the viewer has to assume, oh, the person got shot, they don't actually know, and then it'll eventually cut back to the scene, and you can kind of use that to surprise someone. So I think that kind of the whole idea of leading up to an event, then cutting away, then having the sound effects, so the person that's watching is assuming what is happening there. I think that is very useful, interesting as well. All right, we're going.
Did RMIT fit the expectations you had for the university?
It's a tricky one. I come from the UK. I hadn't heard of RMIT before I applied for the job, so I didn't have expectations, or specific expectations. But I've been here for 7 years now, so I really enjoy it, and it's a really nice place to work. So I guess it has fulfilled my expectations in that sense.
Does RMIT fit the expectations you had for university?
Yeah, I think so, because I think teachers are really interesting and are really passionate to teach us stuff that will be useful for work life.
Alright, so it's week 4. There's some pretty big news, and that is with this camera now. Oh God, I need to wash my hair. But yeah, now I have this camera and also this one. So I'm kind of figuring out what I'm going to do with this. So from this week's reading, I thought it was fairly straightforward, where Carl Newport was speaking about being passionate about something and putting time and dedication into your craft. I think it's very, as I said, straightforward, where when you are actually passionate about something, you'll be working towards something and you'll want to be changing and thinking about ways you could just pretty much be improving it, even when people look at it and they'll be like, oh, this is really good. What measures would be useful to see how I've grown as a media maker? I think keeping my old work so I could go back and have a look at what my work was back in the day, see if I've stopped doing these bad habits, seeing if I've just generally improved in a lot of different areas, filming, editing, just generally talking and so on and so forth. What I think should be different about learning at RMIT, to be honest, I love the way that we're learning at RMIT. It's very hands-on and engaging, which is very my type of learning. It's very individual. It's up to me if I want to get the work done, which really puts a lot of emphasis on if a course is really good for you or not. Because if you like it, then it'll be a lot easier to approach your work and get stuff done. So yeah.
What we do here is go back.
So, what is research to you? I wrote it down as it's the act of looking for information via valid sources that produce information on certain content. And then to elaborate more on that would be that my personal way of researching would be more like a hands-on kind of format where I'd be watching a tutorial and trying to follow it step by step as shown right now. It's pretty basic. It's just never too complicated, so it's pretty easy just to follow it step by step. So that's pretty much it. What is one thing that fascinates you about YouTube and you'd like to investigate more? What really interests me and what our group I think is focusing on is making YouTube a career and making it your main source of income. And so we're talking about who were the first people to do it and seeing how that's changed the way people look at YouTube and how it eventually it inspires a lot of people to be a YouTuber and make content for their living. We also went into further detail about the different aspects about how hard it is to be a YouTuber, like you know, getting views, getting ads on videos, try not to get the video demonetized, try not to get it age restricted, and then avoid anyone sending like a false copyright claim on like a video and whatnot, which is like another whole, you know, can of worms. Tell us some interesting new things you learned about the recordings using the H2N. So in this week's workshop, I was partnered up with Angus.
All right, where is your happy place, sir?
I do not know the answer to that question yet.
I found them very fun, and I thought it was pretty interesting how well the audio recording was, like how crisp and how high quality it was for something that's so small and so mobile. And because I'm so used to having a big microphone that will sit in front of me like on a stand and I'll talk into that, and I expect a big microphone like that to have decent audio, but like these little things, it was amazing like how well they worked. So that's just about it.
This week we focused on audio. I have never used Audition before, so I thought that was different and a bit of a challenge. It was pretty interesting. I had a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to learning more things with how you can edit sound. And with my kind of soundscape, I tried to think what would I hear first, but where the photo's taken. Being, you know, you're inside a building, it looks like in a uni building, so you'd hear uni students walking around, like the standard stuff. Then secondly, I thought you'd probably hear the construction site because it's so close to the window, so backcameras or just like anything in relation to a construction site. Given in mind that everything I used was my own recording from my phone. And then thirdly, I'd say you'd probably hear very close traffic, so that'd be like trams and trucks and cars and all that kind of stuff going along. Listen to an audio documentary. So the one I kind of found, I was looking for quite a few, and the one that I kind of wanted to focus on was the one that we actually watched in class, the My Lobotomy by Howard Daly. I thought it was pretty interesting that it had a lot of different types of narration, whether it be like voiceovers where he's talking about how Walter Freeman would do his lobotomies and all that kind of stuff. So he was very close to the mic and had very crisp audio and it was pleasant to listen to. And then he'd have different recordings of him. It would be like in like an interview kind of format where it sounds different because he's probably further away from a mic. It could be a different mic. It could be like recorded at different levels. But the kind of whole type of interviewing someone. So you can distinctly tell when he's narrating over something and he's trying to convey a story compared to when he's in a room with someone else and he's like, it's like an interview kind of one-on-one session. He goes a lot further with that, with how you can hear people walking and being interviewed. For example, there's a part in the audio documentary where he's showing photos, his lobotomy to his dad, and you can hear him like moving the paper and all that kind of stuff around. It kind of makes you feel that you're there. That's inspiration, something to take away from it. So yeah. I've always known how important academic integrity is, and I always knew the consequences it faced when not following them correctly. But what I didn't actually know was how in-depth and how structured it really was, with all the different components of it, and how really reinforced how important it is when making any work or anything like that to truly reference where you got all your sources from and information from. Granted that I did only get 19 out of the 25, so I was one mark off, but I still think I have like a fairly decent understanding of the, you know, being academically aware. I think I may have just rushed the quiz, to be honest. But in terms of media, I recently watched the new Avengers movie. You know, I'm not a big superhero fan. I don't really care about all that kind of stuff, but when I went to go see it, I thought it was pretty impressive how wide the scope was and how they included all these different storylines into one movie, like either like one big conclusion, as well as the amount of CGI that was in the movie. It was insane, just like sitting back watching and just knowing that like the amount of time and effort that would have been spent animating and all the work that would have been put into like every single scene kind of just blew me away.